Mr. President, delegates, friends, and comrades, you've already seen from the video greeting from our General Secretary, Lenny McCluskey. He can't be here this week for obvious reasons, but you've seen how he is committed to the relationship between the United Steelworkers and Unite in the work that we do in Workers Uniting. We bring together Unite and Steelworker members in the UK and the Republic of Ireland, in the USA and Canada, across many industrial sectors of our great unions. And we're delighted to be here this week with you, with the chair of our Executive Council, Tony Woodhouse, and other members of our Executive Council who I know some of you have met, and you'll have an opportunity to meet with them during the week. Now, comrades, I'm proud to be the Assistant General Secretary of Unite with responsibility for manufacturing. I'm proud to be a member of the board of our global union, Workers Uniting, created as a response to globalization, to defend all of our members against attacks from employers, to fight back against neoliberalism and neoliberal economics, and against the development of a new generation of trade agreements which have destroyed decent middle-class jobs in manufacturing and undermined basic labor rights for workers in our 4 countries. So we formed Workers Uniting, as both our unions have members in the same sectors, in steel, in oil, in chemicals, in paper and packaging, in energy and glass, in many of the same companies. And we deal sometimes with the same CEOs, the same greedy bastards in America, Canada, Ireland, and the UK operate globally. And we have to deal with them as a global federation. Over the past years, we've worked together side by side, supporting members in dispute, on strike or locked out, campaigning on health and safety, and importantly, defending members from the ravages of globalization and rotten trade deals. Let me be clear, Workers Uniting isn't against trade, but we want fair trade and fair employment rights. And we've learned from you in the United Steelworkers the damage that NAFTA created to good manufacturing jobs in the United States and Canada. And that is why both of our unions took a strong stance against TTIP, the US-EU free trade agreement. And that's why we took a strong stance against CETA in Canada. And that's why we're going to continue to take a strong campaign against the Trade in Services Agreement. And Unite was proud to help you in your campaign to oppose TPP, the Trans-Pacific Deal, which we know the steelworkers opposed from day one and campaigned against from day one. We recognized it was you, the steelworkers, who led the campaign to defend manufacturing jobs, oppose President Obama's fast track to drive TPP through the Congress. And so at the end of the day, TPP is sunk, but it may come back. Now, we've already got a problem. Canada, a deal has been signed between the EU and Canada called CETA. And we worked hard, both of our unions, to campaign against that deal. And we worked hard with Industrial, and we worked hard with the European TUC to oppose that deal, but at the last minute, and our comrades from Wallonia in Belgium stood up, fought against that deal, and it took Pierre Premier Trudeau to come over to the UK and try and stitch up what is a rotten deal. But we've not only been working hard on trade deals. One of our Workers Uniting campaigns has been against China being granted market economy status. As Leo said yesterday, this is one of our biggest challenges. Both our unions are committed to the cause. Let me be clear. We don't have a quarrel with Chinese workers and their families. They're entitled to have a decent living and be protected. But President and comrades, China clearly does not and never will have a market economy, and we shouldn't grant them that status. And let me give you an example as to why. Like you, we've seen Chinese steel dumped on the UK and European market, steel manufactured in zombie companies who continue to produce cheap steel they cannot sell on the open world market, so they sell it at lower prices than it costs to make. Now, comrades, our three steel unions in the UK, Community Unite and the GMB, face thousands upon thousands of steel workers' jobs being destroyed and our members being put out of work. We campaigned tirelessly throughout last year to save our steel industry. We took our campaign into Europe to save our steel. And it was our unions who demanded the government took a public stake in the industry to save our steel. It was our members who campaigned up and down the country in Europe and the USA to save our steel. And we thank the United Steelworkers for the support you gave us during that campaign. It's not over, and we look forward to your support to win that campaign and save decent steel jobs in the UK. Now, comrades, it's not just the issue of steel. We've seen the introduction of cheap Chinese tires on our market, dumped on the market and sold a third of the price of premium brands. Our glass, ceramics and paper-making industries have seen the damage that can be done by the dumping of goods on the UK and European market. And I've got to say, it's fair to say that the UK doesn't have any experience really in negotiating trade remedies and taking trade defense complaints, because that was always done by the European Union. But when we leave the EU, we'll be on our own. And that's why we can turn to the United Steelworkers and ask for help and ask for assistance and ask for training as to how we can put together a strategy for trade defense to stop the dumping of goods on the UK market once we leave the European Union. You've got a wealth of experience at dealing with this, and we look forward to working with you. Now, just let me say a few words about our sectors where we work together, as John mentioned and Len mentioned in his video. We've worked together in the paper and packaging industry in companies such as WestRock, Kimberly-Clark, Graphic Packaging, Georgia Pacific. And we're currently working with Tom Conway over Alcoa and Arconic, fighting to protect our members' jobs. And we work side by side with you in the chemical industry. And we're proud to have developed excellent relationships with the steelworkers in companies such as Dow Chemicals, which when it merges with DuPont will be the biggest chemical company in the world. And our lay reps, sharp stewards, are regular visitors to the US working jointly in the chemical industry. And now we're going to begin to work closely with you in the glass industry. And Leo, I want to say congratulations to the steelworkers on the merger with the GMPIU, and your merger will create a strong voice for glass workers globally, and we look forward to working with those new comrades in Workers Uniting. And I should also mention the merger that you have with the Telecommunications Union in Canada, now part of the Steelworkers. And that gives us an additional powerful voice inside UNI. So welcome to those comrades from the Telecoms Union, and welcome to those new glass workers who've joined the family of Workers Uniting. Now, one of the areas we've worked together is in the oil industry. Particularly in your dispute a couple of years ago, we were proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with US oil workers in London, demonstrating against the companies who had locked you out, who had put you out of the door when you were fighting for a decent contract and fighting for health and safety. We were proud to be with you, and if we were asked to do it again, we definitely would do it. President, energy will become a key issue for every country. Now more than ever, we have to stand together, whether it's in Texas or Alaska, in Scotland, on the North Sea. We work closely with our colleagues from Norway, building an alliance to defend oil workers from the harshest conditions that they face. Health and safety, an incredibly important issue for those colleagues, particularly those colleagues working offshore. And as Leo said yesterday, not a week goes by in the United States without there being some form of explosion. Mass tragedies like Texas City. And we've had the same problem in the UK, and our Norwegian colleagues will tell you they've had the same problem with helicopters ferrying workers across into the North Sea, failing, killing everybody on board. Our members expect to come home safe, but their families are left to grieve. They lost their lives, they paid the ultimate price, and all they were doing was just going to work and doing their jobs. So, President, we're building power in a number of areas, in tires, in glass. And I have to say, this morning I was privileged to attend a meeting of your health workers, and Unite is committed to making sure that we build a strong relationship, the same relationship that we have in manufacturing, in our health sector. We want to work with you. It's important. We're a big, wide union. So we welcome you on board, and I'm sure we're going to be successful. Because in the UK, we have the jewel in the crown, our National Health Service. Created after the Second World War by Aneurin Bevan. But now we're faced with chief executives and corporations trying to make massive profits from our healthcare service. Now, they call themselves investors, they call themselves entrepreneurs, we call them greedy bastards. Leo mentioned Rio Tinto. A few years ago, when I addressed this convention, we just fought Rio Tinto to a standstill. We had a campaign at the London Olympics to make sure that those workers in Alma, Quebec, didn't stay locked out. And we had those demonstrations, not just at the Olympics, but at the company's AGM. And I'm pleased to report that last year we were approached by Rio Tinto to see if it was possible for us to develop a new relationship. And we met with the senior management of Rio Tinto, and we began to map out what an improved relationship would look like. And I'm proud to say, a month ago in London, led by Leo, Kenny Newman, your Canadian director, the president of the Australian Miners Union, my good comrade Pete Matosa from the South African Miners Union, we reached an understanding with that company, and they now accept the legitimate role of trade unions in the biggest mining and metals company in the world. Comrades, it's early days, but they now recognize that workers have the right to collective bargaining, to decent health and safety, to ensure that ILO standards apply. And they've agreed in the document that we received this morning via email, confirming that agreement, that workers in Rio Tinto throughout the world will be treated with dignity and with respect. We've got to set up the structures to deal with issues regionally, and as I said, it's early days. But I hope, Leo, and I'm sure you will agree, we've made a breakthrough. And we believe that that is going to be very, very important for Rio Tinto workers throughout the globe. Now, John mentioned the UK leaving the European Union. It's known as Brexit, and it'd be wrong of me not to say just a few words. I can't give you a detailed report on what it means, except to say that Unite campaigned to remain part of the European Union, but the UK population voted to leave. We accept that decision. But we want to make it clear that whilst people voted to leave the European Union, they did not vote to leave and destroy jobs and their communities. And I want to take this opportunity to turn to one key issue that's related to the decision to leave. Since that fateful day, we have seen the rise of attacks on immigrants, not just those from parts of the European Union, but from other countries as well. Only last week, a young asylum seeker from Kurdistan was beaten senseless by a gang of 30 people in London. We've seen attacks on immigrants, our fellow workers, attacked by their fellow citizens and told to their faces to pack up and get out of the UK. Chair and comrades, Brexit has given racists an opportunity to point the finger at immigrants, not only to commit personal violence against individuals, but to do it against their businesses and their communities. And comments from right-wing politicians have not helped. Well, Workers Uniting have made it clear it's unacceptable for anybody to face violence because of their creed and their colour. This is not what we expect from a civilized society. Workers Uniting has said this has to stop, and it has to stop now. So in conclusion, Workers Uniting has a real vision for the future, but our work has only just begun. It will take time. We're developing structures to respond to global corporations, and we're working as one in industrial and in uni. Unite members in the UK, the Republic of Ireland, and United Steelworkers members in the USA and Canada will ensure that when one of our unions is attacked, then both of our unions will respond. Whether you are a Unite member or a Steelworker member, you are a Workers Uniting member. You're all of our members, and we will fight back, and we will not walk away. Workers Uniting is a union for the future, not just for steel workers and manufacturing workers, but for health workers, for transport workers, for digital workers, for care workers, for education workers, for aerospace workers, for paper makers, printers, engineers, electricians, and glass workers. We are truly a global union. We're a global union for men and women. We're a global union for young people, for retirees, for people of color, for workers with disabilities, and for LGBT workers. Let me be clear to all of you. We are on your side wherever you are and wherever you work. So, comrades, stay strong, stay united, never give up. There is power of unity. There is power in a union. Solidarity. Thanks for listening.